I know that you have dreams and goals and aspirations. The one thing that's holding you back from fully achieving those dreams, fully achieving those goals, fully becoming who you want to be is fear. Fear is a concept that is familiar to all of us because we struggle with it in our day-to-day lives. I've struggled with fear a lot, and through a lot of work, through a lot of mentorship, a lot of training, I've become a fearless person. But the journey to me becoming fearless, which has allowed me to get to where I want to be in life and achieve many of my goals, more that I have to achieve still, of course, but the fearlessness that I've been able to develop and use as a tool didn't happen overnight. So in this training, I'm going to tell you exactly how to become fearless and how to use fearlessness as a tool to actually get what you want. Because to be honest, the thing that's stopping you right now from being the exact man that you want to be, being the man who's able to show up as his best self and make all the money in the world, have the freedom, date the women he wants, live the lifestyle he wants, go places he wants. The thing that's actually stopping you is fear. And I'm going to show you and train you in exactly how to become fearless. I'm going to give you what I did. I'm going to give you several starting points and then several protocols that are going to change the way that you do things and are going to help you unlock your mind to become fearless. Let's go ahead and train. So the first thing you have to understand is the idea of mental models, okay? A mental model is your interpretation of the data that you get from the world. People are always making interpretations about data and information that they get. An example of this, which I've used before, is that you're out in the park on a sunny day. It's beautiful outside. There's families playing. There are kids singing and dancing and having a great time, and the sun is shining and you feel great. And next to you is a homeless man that is down on his luck. Maybe he's dealing with a drug issue. Maybe he's dealing with, hunger. He's dealing with problems, and all he can think about is, where am I going to get my next meal? Where am I going to get my next fix from? That guy's perception of the data that's coming into his senses is not going to be positive. It doesn't matter if the sun is shining. It doesn't matter if there's families playing and if there's happy people walking. He's going to be miserable. He's going to feel like all that's in front of me, all that I can see is where I can get my next meal or where can I get my next fix. This is what we call the mental model. So your brain is constantly interpreting data, and what we want is to avoid fear-centered thinking, because fear-centered thinking occurs when you believe that you don't have control. That's what we call fear-centered thinking. It's where you unconsciously or consciously, like where you are aware of this or you're unaware of it, you believe that you don't have control and that whatever comes next in your life, you don't have control over that path. As an example, I know a lot of people who believe that they don't have control over how they can make money. And the truth is, because they believe they can't control it, they're then controlled by fear, and they're worried about what comes next and, the opportunities that they may have in life. And as a result, they never take action. They never actually become someone who can control the way they make money. Whereas in my case, I'm very, very aware that I can control how I make money. So the way that I make money is not tied to fear because it's not out of my control, and it's a circular loop. It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? But in this case, we have the answer. You first must develop a mental model where you believe you can actually have control, which is a good start that you're here on this video watching this training, because if you are, you probably believe that you have control to some level. So the first stage is believing I actually can have control. And once you believe you have control, then the next stage is to take actions in your life that are going to get you out of fear-centered thinking and are going to actually make you free. One thing that's another important starting point here, and I want to explain to you where really to start, is you must be willing to make sacrifices that are going to lead to more freedom. And there's two important sacrifices that you're going to have to make in your life. Number one is the people that you're around. Okay, this is the first sacrifice that's going to take you from fear-centered thinking or being controlled by your own limitations and your own limiting beliefs to actually having freedom. One of the things that I found is when I changed my circle, or I don't even know what came first, really. It kind of happened at the same time. But when I changed my circle and I was around different kinds of people that I really felt aligned with in terms of the path they were on, men that weren't actually guided by fear, men that were actually free to control how they built their lives and how they created what they wanted in their lives. When I was around those men, I began to associate less with people who were guided by fear, and I began to have more autonomy and freedom over the life that I built, over the life I created for myself. So the people that you're around are going to heavily influence how much of your thinking, how much of your decision making is guided by fear versus how much freedom you have. The other part of this, and the other thing you need to change on this path to freedom and removing fear-centered thinking is the need for pleasure, comfort, and stimulation. I talk about this all the time. My biggest change that I've made, one of the biggest changes I've made in my life, is avoiding and moving away from the need to always be stimulated, removing the need to always look for pleasure, removing the need for always look for feeling good, and instead be able to lock in and do things like shoot content and training for YouTube, or do things like create programs for my clients and mentor people and sell at a high level, close deals. And it's been that ability to rely on myself and my own intellectual abilities to move forward that have given me the freedom to not think with fear and to not be fear-centered. So a lot of times people who are constantly looking for pleasure, comfort, and stimulation, they have no control, right? So they don't have control over themselves, and what they need is pleasure, they need stimulation in order to feel some semblance of control or some semblance of safety, which means the fear center takes over again. The real thing you need to understand is that fear enters when you give it room to influence your mental model. And later, I'm going to give you some protocols that are actually going to change everything for you and that are going to help you rewire your brain away from fear and more towards success. And these are protocols that I use myself that are very, very effective in creating the life you want. I want you to understand that fear enters when you give it room to influence your mental model. So when you stay weak and when you stay off your purpose, when you stay distracted, and when you stay not on point in terms of where you want to get to in life and what you're moving towards, fear is going to take over. And I'm going to teach you how to avoid this. I'm going to teach you how to not let this happen. The first thing that we need to look at, the first strategy that I'm going to give you, is called finding your Holy Grail. Okay, remember this, be aware of this, because this is going to change everything. Finding your Holy Grail. The Holy Grail is what your big win is. And here's the formula. When X happens, I'm able to do Y. Okay, as an example, when 15K per month happens, I'm able to travel the world and work remotely. Or as an example, it could be something related to weight loss. It could be something related to self-improvement. I work as a high-ticket closer, so I see a lot of people who are dealing with different situations in these different areas. Some people, it's freedom. When I have my dream girlfriend, I'll be able to find fulfillment in my relationships, right? When I lose 30 pounds, I'll be able to feel more confident in my body and feel like I'm the person I'm supposed to be. The Holy Grail is always going to be what your big win is. The Holy Grail is going to be, what are you aiming for in the future that you can base a vision off of? You have to give yourself a vision and allow that vision to replace fear-centered thinking. Because in the absence of a vision, when you are not working towards something, the alternative is fear. Always, every single time. When you're not guided by the Holy Grail and by saying, this is what I want to aim for, this is what I want to go to, this is what I want to pursue, what's going to happen is that part of your brain is just going to not exist if you don't have a Holy Grail, if you don't have a mission, and it's going to be replaced by fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of what happens next. This is why with everyone I work with, everyone I train, everyone I help, I'm always telling them, you got to have the Holy Grail. You got to have this vision of what you're looking for in the future, what you're looking for in terms of your life that's going to help you become better. That's going to contribute to a new lifestyle for you. And here's how you can build your Holy Grail. I'm literally going to give it to you here. And then after this, I'm going to give you some protocols that you can actually use that you can plug and play into your life that have changed how I view myself, that have given me way more fearlessness and have helped me tap into that animal inside that wants to conquer, that wants to win. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But what I want you to do is start to reverse engineer towards your Holy Grail, because this is the process you can use. Here's what you do. Start with this. What does the desired life look and feel like? Don't start with just like a Holy Grail immediately. Like today, okay, I need to make 15K a month. That doesn't make sense. There's no reason for that. But you have to start with, what does your desired life look like and feel like? And you want to construct 3 scenarios, mental scenarios, that are representations of this life. So I'll give you an example. One of my mental scenarios of my desired life is me going into a business meeting in Dubai with my beautiful girl and our kid back at home. That's what I envision. It's weird, and I'm being very vulnerable with you here, but I envision myself going to a business meeting in Dubai with someone I'm very close to, going and meeting him to talk business, talk strategy, while I have my beautiful girl going with me, and our kid is safe and sound tucked in at home, right? Maybe we have a caretaker for the evening, something like that. That's how I envision one scenario in my head that's part of my Holy Grail. I have another scenario that involves me traveling, right? That involves me traveling and sitting in first class on a very specific airline, on United Airlines. I'm just being open with you. On United Airlines, right? Traveling to Miami for a conference. That's another thing that I envision and that I see as a scenario. And I have gone in first class. I have had bits of these things before. I've traveled actually quite a lot. I've worked on the beach and done these things and been with beautiful women in different places. But I have a scenario of a future that I want to live. And what you want to do is you want to construct 3 of these scenarios in your head, because then you can meditate on them and you can visualize them. And when you can visualize them, the vision becomes more clear, the vision becomes real. So the second part of creating this and reverse engineering is you have to ask yourself this question: what actions are taken that would have gotten you into that scenario, right? Like, what are the actions that you would take as a man that would get you into that scenario? Maybe that action would be building your business and working harder. Maybe it would be networking at a high level, or maybe it would be working on your income skill set. I don't know what that's going to be for you. I know what mine is. For me, it's building my skill set, it's building my network, and contributing lots of value so I can build my brand. That's what it is for me, and I know exactly where I'm going. I have the vision set in my head. I have the timeline. So what actions are taken that would have gotten you into that scenario where you're in that position? What are those actions? And then the other part of it is, who do you have to become to achieve those scenarios, right? Maybe for you, that's someone who earns $500K a year with their business and can pay themselves that, right? Maybe for you, that's someone who is dating 2 really attractive women that are his type. I don't know what your Holy Grail is. And to be honest, if your Holy Grail is related to women, I would say you probably need to rethink some things, and you may not be in the best place. But your Holy Grail has to come from, 1, what is the vision and what does it look like? Then 2, what actions are taken to go towards that vision? And then the other part is, who do you have to become to achieve those actions, right? Who do you need to be to achieve that reality, to be in that lifestyle, to have that vision? Another non-negotiable, before I get to all the protocols and I tell you exactly what to do and how to change everything, because that's going to be really powerful, is you have to become present, okay? And on the journey of fearlessness, this is a journey you go on. It's a practice where you're consistently practicing, harnessing your mind, winning against your mind, and becoming a fearless person, because it's not hardwired into you to be fearless. It is not. You evolutionarily are trying to be safe. Through evolution, you've been hardwired, be safe, look for comfort, look for stability, all those things. You're not just trained to be fearless by nature. You have to learn how to become fearless. So one of the things that I do is I practice presence and I practice stillness. There's a book called Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, who's a spiritual teacher. It's a very famous book. You might have heard of it. If you haven't, you should check it out. It transformed my life. It's right on the level of psycho-cybernetics for me. Psycho-cybernetics, I reference it a lot, by Maxwell Maltz, I believe. Look at the Power of Now. And in the Power of Now, one of the things that Eckhart Tolle talks about is how all you have is the present moment. All you have is the now. All you have is sitting in the present moment and accepting what is right now. And that's really the key for you. So one of the ways I became fearless was through presence and through gaining intense mental clarity about my purpose, but I used the present moment to gain the clarity, because what you want is to eliminate reaction-based impulses. You don't want reaction-based thinking and reaction-based impulses. When you're reacting, you're going to allow fear-centered thinking to take over. What does reaction mean? Reaction-based impulses means that when something happens, you need to immediately change your scenario or change your environment to feel more comfortable or feel more safe. And a lot of people exist in reaction-based thinking and exist in a reaction-based paradigm. What you want to be instead is responsive, where you can be present to the moment and critically think about what to do next. As an example, this happens a lot with sales guys. Guys who are in sales and want to close the deal, they want to sell something for 10, 20K. What they'll do is the prospect starts to get a little bit edgy. The prospect starts to get a little bit maybe uncomfortable. And what the salesperson will do, the person closing, will get in their head, they'll get in their feelings, and they'll start to react. They'll start to stutter, they'll start to panic, and they'll start to change who they are to try to accommodate, or they'll forget the process. That's called reacting. They're not responding. But me, when I sell, as an example, I stay locked into my process. I understand all my protocols. I understand where I'm going in the sale. I understand what to do next. And because I have this understanding and I have this awareness, and the presence contributes to that, I'm able to close sales and bring them over the edge. And the protocols that I'm going to share with you here really, really are going to help you with this. So presence is huge. Presence is key. You must become present. It's a non-negotiable. What I want to say before I go into the protocols is I don't have anything to sell you. I don't sell anything. I get messages from guys asking me about training, and I have people that I privately train when I get to know them and I really pick that I want to work with them. But generally, I don't sell anything, okay? And there's nothing I have on this channel to sell you. There's no links I have going to a checkout page, none of that. Everything I do is for free, publicly here on YouTube, on IG. When you message me, there's nothing you can buy from me. The way you can contribute to yourself and the way you can make yourself better and the way that you can grow is press the subscribe button. Literally, press the subscribe button and make a commitment to yourself that if this training is landing for you, if it's not, no worries. But if the training is landing for you, what I want you to do is make a small commitment to continuing your growth and continuing your education, continuing your learning. Because this is one place I am simply a mechanism for you to learn and to grow, if this is resonating with you. So I'm not asking you to go buy something. I'm not asking you to go check out my course, none of that stuff. But press the subscribe button, because that's one small step in the direction of you committing to learning, committing to training that's going to get you over the edge and going to set you apart from the competition and the people who want the same things you want. Because we all want the same shit. I want the same money you want. I want the same girls you want. I want the same freedom you want. And I'm getting it. I'm going for it. I'm making it happen. And I know you want to. I know you want to make it happen. But if you're not part of the tribe we're building here, go ahead and just press the red button and continue learning with me every single week. And I'll keep putting out training for you. So what I want to explain to you as we come to the end, here's really what's going to change everything is the protocols, okay? Protocols, as I define them, you may have seen this on my channel a lot. Protocols are a set of structures and systems that you can follow to be able to achieve a specific outcome, okay? These are what protocols are. I believe personally in building individualized protocols after following base protocols that you learn from someone else. So protocol is simply a system or a structure that you know that you can follow that's going to move you towards a certain goal or a certain outcome that you want to achieve. That's what a protocol is. It's like, here's the roadmap, here's the steps, here's what comes next. And I believe in building your own protocols. I've built my own protocols, but after you follow a base set of protocols that you learn from someone else. And you need to make sure these protocols actually work. Make sure the person you're listening to, in this situation, me, knows what they're talking about and they're not giving you some ego-driven bullshit. So we don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to give you here is what I call the fearless protocol. And there really are 3 parts to it. It's quite simple. The first part is win your mind. That's the first thing. Win in the mind. I'll explain to you how that works. The second part of it is take control. Okay. And the third part of it is build, build, build. So let's go ahead and get into the protocol. The first part of the protocol is winning in your mind. Okay. And winning in your mind comes down to a few things, two big things that are going to help you win. Number 1 is active meditation during the day. So during the day, I'm in a consistent headspace, a consistent place of meditation. I'm never escaping or leaving a meditative state. And by meditation, all I mean is as I do tasks that are meaningful, as I do tasks that are contributing to my journey, as I do tasks that are going to help me get the success that I want, I consistently stay in a meditative state of presence. Going back to what I said earlier about being in the present moment, I'm always in a state of meditation. When I'm shooting videos like this, I'm present with you. I'm meditating with you, which is why I'm not stammering over my words, which is why I'm able to deliver clearly, because I'm actually in a present state right now. So I'm actively meditating during these sessions. During my sales calls, I'm meditating. When I sit with the prospect and really talk to them and I ask the questions about where they're at now, their current state, going into their desire and what they really want, going into fear, what are they afraid of? The way I ask those questions, and if you've studied sales with me, if you know how I train, if you know my protocols for sales, you'll understand what these questions are. When I ask these questions, like, can I ask what would that really mean to you? What would it do for you personally being in that position? When I ask questions like that, I'm present with my prospect. When I talk to women, when I go on dates, when I go out with my girl, all right, I'm present with women. So I'm constantly in a state of active meditation, and I'm never falling off of that path. I'm never falling away from the path of meditation, from that way, as it were, from the way, okay? Now, the other part of training your mind and winning your mind is you want to replace negative dialogue that tells you that you're not enough. And this is key. The dialogue in your head, the stories in your head that are telling you you're not good enough, you can't do it, you're not there, you're not ready. You have to replace that dialogue with positive dialogue. So me, let's say I would do this a lot in the past. I would get on a call with a buyer who was like someone who was very high value, and I would say, okay, they're a business owner who's, making $200K a month, multimillionaire. I have to be able to communicate with them in a way that's really effective and make them know that I know what I'm talking about. That's negative dialogue. So I replace that dialogue with saying, I'm the shit and I'm going to close this person. They're just a human being who pisses and shits just like me. So when I communicate with them, what would come across? I really don't care about your value. That's what would come across because I won in my mind. My mind was the source of the battle. And for you, your mind is also a place where a lot of battles happening. Imagine like an arena and you are actually in the arena of your mind and you're competing against outside forces, past trauma, right? Your shadows, the enemies that are keeping you down. You need to become one with these things, become aware of them, bring them to the surface, and then overcome them. I'm going to make some training about this in the future that'll really help you. The second part of this is taking control, okay? So win your mind and then take control. Taking control really comes down to 4 things, and I boiled it down to these. This will really help you get the control that you want to have. Number 1 is action leads to changes in your identity. You need to control your path because the absence of control is where fearless thinking takes over, right? When you don't control what's next, when you can't control what's happening in the path you're on, fearful thinking and fear-based thinking, I should say, is what's going to actually take over and what's going to control you. So what I do is I take action because I want my actions to lead my identity. I want my action to create my identity. I want who I am to be based on action and moving towards my goals, not towards slipping behind, not falling behind the ball, because it is competitive out there. It isn't easy. And the second part of control is you have to take control of your time. This is huge. So right now, the time for me is it's 12:18. I'm a bit tired. I usually work until around 2 or 3 a.m. because I work with clients that are in the US, but I'm tired. I didn't feel like making this training. I'm already a bit ahead on YouTube videos, but I knew in this moment that I'm going to lose the battle of my mind if I actually didn't show up and train and make this YouTube video. If I didn't show up for myself and train you guys up and get you guys better, I knew that I'm going to lose the battle of my mind. So what I did is I took control of my time. Instead of me giving my time to my bedroom right there and sleeping, right, or watching a game maybe because a freaking LA Clippers game is going to come on in a second. Instead of me giving my time to that, I decided, let me come train the boys, right? Let me hop on, let me make a training, share value, give it out, and go from there. So I took back control. It went with the gym as an example. When it's raining, when it's miserable outside, or I'm getting up early and I don't feel like getting up and actually going out to the gym and I'd rather stay at home and work, what do? I get out the house and I walk to the gym and I put in the work because I want to take control. The other part of taking control is attacking discomfort. Attacking discomfort is huge. When there's moments where you're confronted with the option to be comfortable, the option to not go for it, like I just mentioned, I'm restating this in a different way. You have to attack discomfort. So part of it is the certain times where you don't feel like moving forward, but then beyond just the time is also the discomfort. Like I would rather not talk to the beautiful woman, or I would rather not have an uncomfortable conversation with a prospect on a sales call, or I would rather not sit and do another half an hour of work, or I would rather jerk off and watch the porn, right? Attacking discomfort is huge. And one final thing, this is really practical, get in the gym and fight. Like get in the gym, put on some gloves, and actually go to war with someone. It doesn't need to be crazy aggressive, but just feeling at one with your body. I'll tell you this, when I was training dating clients, and I still do some private consulting, for guys in the dating space, very high level clients. When I train them, one of the exercises that I give my clients is be fighting. Right? It's like fight. You should go out into the gym and combat, because if you can face another man and you can go into combat with him, you're not trying to kill each other, but you're still simulating that experience. Talking to a woman's going to be easy stuff. So it's the same thing in sales. It's the same thing in business. Fight. Get in the gym, put on some gloves, spar someone. Okay. The other part, and the last part of the fearless protocol, is build. The 3 builds. Build times 3. Okay. You want to start building towards your Holy Grail and do not fucking stop. You can't stop. And if you've watched one of my earlier videos, I believe it was 2 videos before this one, where I talk about how to build the right mindset and focus your mind. I talk about a protocol I use called weekly focus. I don't do daily focus. Like some days I have days where I fuck around. That's the truth. Like I'm not every single day locked in doing the same thing. I vary it up. Some days I'm at 9 out of 10 productivity. Some days I'm at a 6. Some days I'm at a 10. But every single week overall, I'm at an A+. every single week. And I continuously build towards my Holy Grail. My Holy Grail, if you've been watching me, you know, for me, that's 50K a month. That's what I'm aiming for. And I'm not there now, right? I'm not earning that. I'm in the 20s and 30s, but I want to hit 50K consistently. I don't want it to vary from like 10, 15 to 20, 30. I want it to literally be 50K consistently. And what I'm doing to do that is I'm consistently building. I'm consistently aiming for that goal. And there's a higher goal I have, of course. That's my big vision, which I'm ultimately pointing towards and going to get at. But right now, what I see is, how can I get to 50K right now? How can I move there immediately as quick as possible? The actions you take, here's part of build, build, build. The actions you take should lead to a future that you truly want to attain. And that's what I do here. Every action that I do, everything you see me doing here on YouTube, all the trainings, all the conversations we're having, everything I do when I'm working with my guys, my clients, and we're crushing it. It's literally all about moving towards a future that myself, that we collectively want to truly attain. That's where I want to see you at. That's where I want to see you be at. That's the key. That's the goal. Okay. So I hope that this made sense. I hope the protocols make sense. Watch the video again if you have to, like rewatch it if you have to just get this down pat. Take some notes. Don't just sit and listen to it for the sake of it, but actually put this into practice, put it into work. I love training you. I love working with you boys on here and seeing the growth. I get the messages from you on Instagram. I know you guys who are messaging me, shout out Jose, shout out Dylan, shout out Chanad. All you boys are killing it, and a couple more of you, we talk. You guys are great. So keep on grinding, keep on pushing forward. There's a bunch more trainings coming. There's a lot more work to do. The year's just getting started. We're just beginning. We're building out some really cool things right now. I'm building out a private community, specifically combining sales and self-improvement, which I'll tell you more about. It's a free community as well. Just going to give it away to you, but you have to be active if you're going to be a part of it, or I'm going to kick you out. But I'm excited for what we're doing. We're going to put out some of the best training in this space and online and self-development and sales for the next couple months. We're going to put out some of the best stuff, and I'm working on some great things here. Okay. So be great, gentlemen, be blessed. And I will see you on our next training. Let's rock and roll. Let's keep going. Get out of the haze. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Let's roll.